Things are changing, it seems strange, and I need to figure this out. You've got your life, I got mine, but you're all I cared about. Yesterday we were laughing, today I'm left here asking, where is all the time gone now? I'm left alone somehow, growing up and getting older. I don't wanna believe it's over. Don't say goodbye, 'cause I don't wanna hear those words tonight. 'Cause maybe it's not the end for you and I. And although we knew this time would come for me and you, don't say anything tonight if you're gonna say goodbye. Do you remember in December how we swore we'd never change, even though you're leaving, our feelings would always stay the same.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm Alicia. And on April 16th, 2011, we lost our cousin, Georgina Caldarelli, to teen suicide. Initially, I was in shock to think that the little girl that I'd known since she was born was gone, and at the time she was in a coma, and there was basically no chance she was ever going to get out of it from what the doctor said, but we all had hope. But obviously it just wasn't enough because she initially went brain dead. Well, that day, I found out, I woke up to a bunch of missed calls and texts from my sister telling me someone needed to call her back. No one was answering her phone calls. When I fell back asleep, I woke up and everyone was telling me Georgie was in a coma, and because she had tried overdosing. I honestly didn't believe it, didn't want to believe it, still don't want to believe it, but I don't know, we just all talked to Mom about it. And then she wanted us to go up and visit Georgie, which honestly, I've never cried so hard in my life. Seeing her in that state, honestly, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was at my boyfriend's house, and I got a call from my sister saying that Georgina was in a coma. She had overdosed the night before, and she was supposed to go to school that morning, but my Aunt Robbie tried to wake her up, and she wouldn't answer the door. So her father came down and kicked it open, and that's when they found her in her bed, unresponsive. I came home, talked to my sisters about it. We went to the hospital that night, and just walking into the room with my whole family there, upset and speechless, seeing my Aunt Robbie sitting in a chair because she was unable to walk. She could barely even go look at her daughter. Seeing Georgie's sister, a wreck, not knowing, you couldn't tell if she was sad or if she was shocked, or she had no emotion. She just sat there speechless, and her brother was actually nowhere to be found at the time because he was sitting at her bedside. Going into the hospital room and seeing her hooked up to all the machines and the breathing tube, helping her stay alive as long as they could, it was extremely hard. And having her father walk in there and beg for her to wake up, beg for her to come back to him, was seriously one of the hardest things I ever had to do, especially to sit there and hold her hand and not feel a pulse, and just knowing that her body was there but her spirit was no longer with us. And then for them to tell us a couple days later that they did the final brain scan and she had gone brain dead, and there was no way she was going to come back. There was no way she was going to make it through it.
And then, no, I don't think anybody noticed any signs. Now, definitely going through her posts on MySpace and her posts on Facebook, you can definitely notice them now that
She'd always
already
seemed
gone.
so happy and where she wanted to be in her life every time we talked or texted. She was just your normal, happy 16-year-old girl, so what we all thought, but as I said before, she was obviously hiding a lot that none of us ever noticed. I don't know, like Alicia said, the only time you ever really saw anything was MySpace, when she basically posted how much she hated herself and how she didn't think she was enough. But to everybody in our family, she was perfect. She was so
Role model.
She basically, she was so smart. She was going to graduate high school. Sports. She loved her horses. She was very selfless. She gave everybody everything she could. She loved everybody. They loved her. I guess in the end, she just didn't see it like the way we all. Just remembering how loved she was. At the time, she didn't think she was at all. You could just tell, especially by her last Facebook post that night saying good night.
Never would have thought it was
Goodbye.
Forever. My first thought was why? Why would someone that we all thought was happy, we all saw as happy, do something on impulse the way she did? I don't know why it happened. I still don't understand why someone would do something like that.
Personally, just think that she had a lot of anger and sadness and feelings just building up, and taking her own life was the only way to get away from it, get away from all the pain. Not writing, not talking to someone, just taking as many pills as she could at the time to escape it, not thinking of the consequences or the feelings of her family. And to this day, we obviously are all sad and we feel remorse, and it doesn't really get that much easier as the days go by, knowing she would be 18 in less than a month now. I deal with it by thinking of the good times when we were little, going to car shows all the time, just hanging out.
Grandma's house.
Going to grandma's. She was one of our favorite people. Spending weeks and weeks at each other's houses, and she lived 2 hours away from us. When we were little, we had not a care in the world. Everything was so easy. There was no feelings. You fell and hurt your knee, mommy would kiss it, but as you grow up, it just seems to get harder and harder.
How I deal with it, I go on her Facebook page every day, look at all the posts, read through them a bunch of times, never just once. I look at pictures of her constantly, and like she said, remember all the times when we were little, when everything was so easy, and when nothing like that affects us now would have affected us anyway then.
I just try to remember all the positive things about her. She loved cheerleading, and she was in the 4-H club. She was a super smart girl. She just made a dumb decision.
Instead of standing here asking, do we have to end this now? Can we make it last?